Here are 8 mistakes that beginner glovers make. These mistakes cost me years in progress, and I wish someone told me these in the beginning. So I'm here to lay it all out for you so you can learn from my mistakes and learn fast. And by the way, the last one not only changed my gloving, but my entire life. So let's get into it. Number 1, rushing through your moves. When I first started, I wanted to throw every move that I knew in every single show. So I would just throw them one after another. But they were rushed. None of the execution was clean, and I was sacrificing quality for quantity. Once I slowed down, listened to the music, and executed the moves with control, that's when I started to wow people. So take each move slow, flesh out those concepts, and execute them with the music. Mistake number 2, skipping over the finger roll. When I started, I practiced my finger rolls for maybe 2 weeks, and then I went immediately into finger tuts. And since I knew my finger rolls weren't clean, I didn't like throwing them in my show. I thought the tuts looked cooler anyway. But after 3 years of gloving, for some reason my show still felt really choppy. It was like a bunch of mismatched Legos stuck together, and there was no harmony in the entire show. It wasn't until I traded with AO Mimic that I realized I needed to change my whole style. The glue that was missing was the finger roll. And once I started practicing them, it brought my whole show together and completed it. Now, the third mistake I see is not just for finger rolls, but for all different types of moves, and that is moving into complex concepts before building out a solid foundation. This works for any branch of gloving. Let's take liquid, for example. I saw someone throw a liquid 8, and I wanted to master it. So I practiced for hours and hours and hours, but for some reason, it still didn't look good. Why? Because I didn't have a solid foundation on the basic hand flow. Once I learned how the fingers were supposed to move, I got the 8 down easily. If you're finger tutting, then practice the basics first. Work on those 90-degree angles, and work on your placement. The execution is more important than the complexity. Whatever concept you're working on, build a strong foundation of fundamentals, because if you try building complexity on top of a weak base, it's still gonna look weak. And eventually you're gonna have to go back, unlearn the wrong stuff, and then relearn it the right way, which is what I had to do. It's more efficient to just take the time now and do it right. If you wanna learn how to mesmerize your audience with your solid fundamentals and maybe a little bit of magic, then go to learngloving.com, where I teach you all the tricks to blow your audience away. Mistake number 4, relying on overly blinky flashing patterns. Now, having patterns like hyperstrobe can look really cool and trip out the viewer. At the beginning, I liked them a lot because I could just move really slowly and just shock the viewer. But over time, I realized I was relying on it as a crutch. See, the really blinky flashing patterns covered up all of my flaws, and so I would slack on perfecting my actual technique. It was only when I used somebody else's bulbs that I realized my show was sloppy as hell. I'm not saying it's bad to use hyperstrobe, but when you rely on it too much, your skill level drops. Try practicing with a strobe setting or maybe even a DOP setting to see how clean you really are. Speaking of practice, the next big mistake that I see beginner glovers make is having mindless practice sessions. Now, gloving for me is very therapeutic. Sometimes I just like to play music and mindlessly glove out, without thinking about new concepts or drilling anything in particular. But my fastest growth came from having dedicated practice towards one concept. When I practiced mindlessly, I wasn't getting any better. I was just repeating my old habits. And some of those were bad habits. But by focusing in on just one move, I refined it over and over again. Nowadays, I'll practice 30 minutes a day on just one thing. Recently, I've been practicing liquid, so I'll do one move over and over again for that whole 30 minutes. See, your focus is like a laser. If you attack one thing, you can penetrate it easily. But trying to attack 5 different things at once will spread you too thin, and you won't go deep enough to make any progress. So double down on your focus, master the execution, and you will become a beast. Now, that's one way to get more efficient with your practice, but there's an even faster way to level up quick. And that leads us to number 6. And that mistake is not copying others. Now, hear me out. I refused to copy people when I first started because I wanted to be unique. I spent hours practicing my own moves in the mirror, and I thought they were special, but it turned out they had already been done by somebody else. And that other person did them way cleaner and cooler than I did. I tried to figure it out on my own for 3 years, and my progress was so damn slow. But the moment I began to study the greats, their concepts, and their reasoning, that's when I grew fast. John Coltrane, the legendary jazz saxophonist, had trouble finding his own voice for years, but he studied all different styles, copied them, and learned the vocabulary of their language. And finally, after 10 years of mastering other people's styles, he found his own voice and became a pioneer that changed the history of jazz forever. You may have a desire to express something instantly, but it's probably just gonna be a B-rated copy of somebody else because you have no vocabulary at your disposal. Spend the time studying, learning, and absorbing, and your authentic voice will rise. Next, we have a mistake that cost me years in progress. And number 7 is not recording your light shows. The fastest way to see your mistakes is to record your shows and then analyze them afterward. This can be recording directly to a camera, or it could be somebody else recording your show at an event. I have so many events where I didn't get any footage, and if I had just gone one recording, I could have fixed mistakes that I kept repeating over and over again. Make sure you post it online as well, no matter your skill level. Because once you post and other people start seeing your videos, you start to notice flaws in your show way faster. And this will help you become even better. You don't have to be a certain skill level to post. What's more important is getting better with every post. No show is ever gonna be perfect. You just want it to be the best you can do at that time. And if you're scared about what people think, then post. The more you post, the less scary it becomes. And soon you'll be brimming with confidence. And finally, number 8, the mistake that changed my entire life is gloving for the approval of others. This was me when I started. I wanted people to like my shows. And so I would obsess over how many likes I got on a video. 3 likes, depressed. I was so concerned about what people thought about my shows. That's all I could think of while I was giving them the show, especially to people that I looked up to. I gave Skittles a show once, and afterwards I immediately asked him, was that good enough? What he told me shook my world. He told me, dude, just do what you want to do. It doesn't matter what me or anybody else thinks about your show. Do this because you love to do it. That word helped me stop caring about other people's opinions about me, and it changed my life forever. Now, this also applies to seeking approval from a team. So many glovers think after they get on their dream team, they'll magically become happy after being accepted by the people that they look up to. But let me be the first to tell you, sometimes it's not all shaped up to what you thought it was. You may place the team on a pedestal and think it'll be glorious when you're on there, rocking with the cool kids. But once you're in, maybe you don't get along with some of the members. Or maybe you guys don't even hang out that much at all. I'm not saying it's bad to strive for a team. If you could use that as motivation to help you get better, then do it. But if you put really high expectations on landing your dream team, you may end up disappointed. So keep practicing and get on that team that you desire. But know that the team won't make you who you are. You are unique, and nobody will throw the light show that you throw. So keep doing you. And if your personality doesn't fit in with the team that you want, then that's fine. There's another family that's a perfect fit for you. So keep being yourself, keep up the good work, and keep on melting face. If you found these tips helpful, you're gonna love the next video.